Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson with Midday with Cassandra. I hope you're having a great day. I am. It's been hectic, and I'm still awake. I've had all my coffee, following it up now with some soft drinks in my red Solo cup. I mean, that's what we drink out of here in the hills, right? Right. That's what terrorists drink out of. As a trans terrorist, that's what they're calling me anyway. And I know that for me, it's satire. I want to make it very clear. For me, this is satire. But if you're going to call me names like that, well, I'm going to make sure that I'm on the top of any of your lists because I do know how to drink out of a red Solo cup, folks. Back of a pickup truck right here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. Yeah, we've got all that down. Let me get the microphone a little bit closer to me. Yeah, got that big microphone, that thing. It says blue on the front, but it's white. I have another one that says blue on the front, but it's black. Anyway, so been a hectic morning, a lot going on. Got up early, got my shower, got cleaned up a little bit, threw on my face, got all the routines out of the way of taking care of family. And then I had to run to the store to pick up a few drinks and things like that. That was after I had caffeinated myself thoroughly. and all the while, I had to make a few stops while I was out. Let me see. I went out to the grocery store, which in my case here is Wally World or Walmart. And there's a Food City nearby too. But, I go to Walmart. I like being around crowds, lots of people around. It's just so much fun. I engage with a lot of people though while I'm out. What is that? What you do when you go out? When you go shopping, do you engage with people or just say hi, or do you have your list in mind and you go straight for that list? You go to that section, you get that item off that shelf, you throw it into your cart, and you head up front and usually go through the checkout line, the self checkout line, and you rarely, if ever, engage with anyone else in the store. No, that's not me. I mean, that's the end result. But getting there, no, I got to stop. I got to talk with the person who is the greeter at the door on the way in, and say, hi, how are you? Check with everybody, make sure they're all right. And say hi to people along the way, and I'll go I had to go talk to someone in the pharmacy today, and the pharmacist. And, oh, he was fun to talk to. He was a hottie. But I had a good time talking with him, looking for some stuff for esophageal spasms, to kind of relief for that. So you can get some medicines for it and all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, my sister needed that. And I'm thinking that's what's going on with her esophagus it's always in a constant state of spasm, which causes a lot of excruciating pain for her. So I'm trying to figure out a way to deal with that. The doctors have been unable to resolve it for years. They haven't been able to get to the root cause because she can't communicate clearly with what's going on, apparently. Well, which I know is true. She can't do that. But so did a little digging, and by no means am I professional in those fields. Just because Gemini research doesn't make me a Gemini doctor. Not even a Sally and I doctor. No. It doesn't apply like that, but it gives me some more information I didn't have before. So anyway, so I'm going in asking questions. I talk with people all throughout the store, get my stuff. I go out, everybody knows who I am there. I mean, I walk in and wave and say hi to people. And I mean, why not? Right. I'm not in a game to hide from anyone. I am right out in front, just talking to anyone, and they all know who I am. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little quick story. I went to a gas station recently, about a month ago, and this guy, I walked in, and the guy was just staring me up and down, just like, I'm thinking, what do I need to do here? What is it? He's got a problem, and I need to cut. I got something exposed. What's the attraction? He was just staring me up and down, and he was in one line and I was in the other, and he let me get in front of him. And that was the first thing. The first thing went through my head was, what's back there you want to stare at? Come on. An older guy. Well, I just kind of assume that everybody who looks older than me is probably older than me, but they're not. They're probably younger than me. That's turned out to be the case lots of times. So anyway, he's standing there and he let me in front, and then he went over to the other register, And so I just walked over to him, stuck out my hand, and I said, "Hey, do we know each other? I feel like we know each other." And the immediate shock. I use this voice. I mean, this is me all the time. Okay, 24/7. What you see is what you get, and what you hear is what you get too. So I said, "Do we know each other? I feel like we know each other." And he goes, "No." And he had a hat on that said, "Make America Great Again." 47. And I said, "Oh, and I love your hat, by the way. I probably wouldn't wear it, but I love your hat. You're fine. You're good." And he goes, "Well, we didn't elect a preacher." And I'm like, "What? What did I say that brought that one out?" So, I'm usually focused on, let me see. Here's what Junia has to say. Whenever I go through the store, I'm usually focused on my shopping list, and occasionally people engage with me, and I'm friendly back. Me too. That's basically the way you should do it, right? That's just the way it is. But me, I actually I go in there to find people to talk to. Well, come on, that's just the way I like to do things. I strike up conversations with just about anyone. Oh my gosh, it's been fun though. It's been fun. I had to go out and do some things like that this morning, and then get back home, and I've got to take care of everything here, and rush to get my show done. I've been working with Gemini to do a few things, to put some stuff together for me, and I got some talking points here, and I haven't covered a single item on the talking points list in the 8 minutes I've been talking. That's the way conversations go with me. There's a storyboard, but you can see that's one side of it. That's the other side of it. I usually start back here on the blank side. But anyway, I just have fun out where I am. I'm not out here trying to pretend to do something and be something I'm not. I had to go to the funeral home today too, and trying to find some more information on my dad's cause of death. It was on the certificate, the death certificate. Died in 97. Everything was typed out on that death certificate except for the primary and secondary cause of his death. And it turns out that my interpretation said it was respiratory failure primary, secondary was COPD, with some other bunch of letters out beside it we couldn't interpret. Even blowing it up, I couldn't interpret it. So I went to the funeral home, and the Rogers Funeral Home in Belfry, Kentucky. I went there and asked some questions about that, because that's where the funeral was held, and they're the ones who had the death certificate and all that stuff on file. So they dug out the records for me, and then lo and behold, the place is owned by the family of one of my classmates from Belfry High School back in 77. And so I'm sitting there talking with him, and I said, "I bet you don't know who I am, do you?" He's going, "No, no." I said, "We used to hang out together in Rita Hunt's classroom." And he's still hadn't figured it out. And I don't know if he did ever, but I wasn't going to use the old name. I just don't do that anymore. Not that it matters, but I don't. And but we sit there and we're talking about all these things. And when I left, I go, something came up about numbers and statistics, and I love numbers and statistics and things. And I said, "And by the way, you need to make very carefully, be very sure that what you're doing when I'm around is that, look, I've got this big sign over my head, according to the Bondi and all of them, that says I'm one of those trans terrorists. And, we're like, there's 2 out of 2,000 of all the violent criminals are trans people. And so we're going to designate all trans people as terrorists. And because they're 2 out of 2,000, I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, just 2 people out of 2,000, that's worth doing something about. We got to institutionalize all those people. It is a threat." And I got to take this call. It's from the Huntington VA. Hold on a minute. You can just listen if you want. Hi, can I help you?
Hello, this is the Huntington VA Medical Center.
Automated recording.
We are calling to remind you of an appointment at the Huntington VA Medical Center.
I know.
On Friday, September 26th at 10 a.m. 4. Patient
Patient
born
born
on
on.
May
Yeah, that's me.
experiencing symptoms related to coronavirus, flu, or cold are encouraged to stay home unless urgent medical treatment is needed.
I got to respond to this.
If you have
Just hang on.
or need to refill a prescription, you can send your provider a secure appointment confirmed.
Ooh, goodness. Okay. That voice can be just a little annoying, but I'm glad that they call and check, you know. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, so basically what you get is, just me all the time out here talking. And a lot of these people are out here going, there's just two. I mean, it's like trans terrorists, that these people are violent criminals and we got to round them all up and institutionalize them. And that's what Seaman Recruit. Thanks, Jenny, for correcting me on that yesterday, because I had forgotten all that. I knew it was one of those seamen. But the Seaman Recruit, Ronnie Jackson, who's actually an admiral, but should not be an admiral, but he is, says that I should be institutionalized, rounded up, and put into a place where I cannot communicate with anyone, that no one can hear from me except those that he has personally approved, because he's such a professional and knows all about trans terrorists. And I'm not a trans terrorist. 2 out of 2,000 violent crimes are committed by trans people. Less than 2, but I rounded it up to 2 to give, just to have a whole number, because whatever. So 2 out of 2,000, and people are going berserk over that. Berserk. Geez, you know what the other numbers represent? Really? The rest of those people are mostly men, and mostly white men. Uh-oh, I got a stink bug running around in here. Oh no, where'd it come from? But anyway, yeah, I mean, really? So they're going to designate us like that. So I'm just going to play right into it. I'm going to play into it. So here's what we're doing. Here's what I'm doing. That's the blueprint. All right, the blueprint that all this stuff is coming from, the blueprint it's all coming from, is from the Heritage Foundation's mandate for leadership. We all know that, right? This isn't chaos. It's a deliberate strategy. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And the thing is, they're going very carefully about it. They talk about it in public a few times. They get Trump, the president, who says something about it ever so often. They kind of get people acclimated to the idea that this is what he's going to do. And then shortly thereafter, they come out and publish a policy on it, and in the hopes that it'll be sufficient. But if it's not, or get challenged, they'll go back, rewrite it, try it again a different way. And that's their operating modus operandi. Okay. So they're using the word terrorism just as a tool to kind of scare people right now. And so I'm just going to tell them, I said, stick me right there on the top of your list there, Bondi and Cash. Stick me up there on the top of that thing, because, nothing like having a stupid label attached to you when you know in darn truth, it is not true. It's not who we are. Never has. So they're going to try to explain the proposed TIVE designation. Yep. Trans terrorist designation. Yeah, they're going to stick that with us. Connect the rhetoric to the policy. That's the number 3 on my little list of talking points here. And all this dehumanizing language that's coming out of the White House, coming from Carolyn Levitt, that's coming from the Heritage Foundation, that's coming from Ronnie Jackson and Nancy, the weather vane Mace. Political weather vane. That's her. Wherever the wind blows, there goes Nancy Mace. She used to be a supporter. Earlier she said she was, but I think back in that day, she was also a political weather vane. She was going, oh, look, everybody's saying it this way. No, I got to change it over here. There goes Nancy. Ooh, goodness. No solid ground in that kind of thinking at all. No foundation on which her political ideology is built, except for, hey, I want to be governor of South Carolina. Yeah, that's what she's doing. So they use words like, monster and trans insanity and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to do everything they can to legislate against this. So path forward, strategic nonviolent resistance. I just want to be very clear about this. as clear as I can possibly be about it. Okay. One trans person who does something stupid will become a poster child that's used to push all of this stuff on the entire community. We're at that place now. They've already started the dehumanizing process. They've been doing that for a long time. They're looking for that one thing to push it over the edge. They are looking for one trans person who does something vile out there so that they can attach the label of we're getting them all off the streets. What does that mean to you as a trans person? Well, let's hope you're not the poster child. Let's hope you're the person who is going, no, stop throwing rocks at the police cars. Let's hope you're not the one who is out here causing harm to property and persons. But they're going to go deeper than that. They're going to start looking for people on social media accounts. They're going to start looking for nonprofit organizations who do not abide by their interpretation, the current administration's interpretation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. They're going to start pulling it all together on everything out there and telling you either do this or we're shutting you down. And they're going to go after everything that has to do with diversity, equity, inclusion, and transgender people and LGBT stuff. They're not going to stop at just the trans. The trans is the gateway drug to get them into all of it. They don't want gays around, even though they got a few Uncle Toms there with them right now on their side and supporting them. That's what they've got. So they're going to go after the entire population, folks. They're not stopping with just the trans people. They've been after the entire spectrum of identities for 50 years or longer, 60 years. And they won't stop. They're going to do it all. They're going to go after everything they can. So I hope you're prepared. I mean, I don't want to scare people, and I don't want to do all that kind of thing, but I want people to be cognizant of what's going on, what's coming your way, what's coming our way. And it is definitely a freight train that's brought on by this administration and the Heritage Foundation. So don't become their poster child that gets used against the entire community. The entire group of trans people in this country. Don't do that. And they're going to look for everything. They're going to try to find everything or anything they can because they're looking for that one thing now that will say, look, the entire community is bad. We've been saying it. Even though Charlie Kirk Shooter wasn't trans, he was dating a trans person or at least associated with a trans person. Whether or not that trans person is the one who actually supplied information that got him arrested in the first place, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He was associated with a trans person. But now they're looking for that one trans person who's doing some idiotic thing out there in this country. And once they find you, they'll nail the rest of us because of what you are doing. I hope you're aware of that. I really do. I hope you're aware of it. So for me here in the hollers of Eastern Kentucky, I'm going to continue doing, and this is what I suggest everyone do. Live your lives, not in fear, but boldness and strength, because you are who you are because you had the strength to get there. You had the strength to do everything it took to get you to this place right now, today, and you're still here. You're still fighting. You're still pushing. You're still standing there. And we've got friends from Delaware to Virginia, Maryland, and other places around this country. Those are the three that I know of specifically, who are doing things right there, right now, doing things that are going to impact their local communities. And that's what we have to be focused on, is making sure that we're doing things where we are, folks. You can't just go out there and shout all the time. It doesn't work. You can't go out. I know that there's a lot of do's and don'ts, it seems like here, but what I'm trying to show is that we have to police our own actions. But at the same time, I've got to make sure that I get a grilled cheese sandwich for my family. And then on top of that, I also have a couple of other little things coming out that you should have already received them. One is the gospel. It's very irreverent, not in an irreverence. I mean, this is very respectful of Harvey Milk and very respectful of Marsha P. Johnson. Very respectful of that, but it's irreverent in terms that I call it a gospel. Because, if you're going to shove your ideology down my throat, if you're going to shove your thinking down my throat and make me believe that you're going to lock us all up, then guess what? I really believe you ought to at least read the gospel of Harvey and the gospel of Marsha. Come on. They're on my website over on the blog pages. Go check them out. Like a 4-minute read, each one of them. Statements that came from their lives, written in the format of a gospel. Yep. Do with that what you will, folks. Do with that what you will. So there's quite a few things coming up in the satirical line. The kind of stuff that's coming up that I want everybody to be aware of is that I'm going to be taking some of these things that's been running through my head. We can't win with just protesting. We can make a loud noise, but if a single one of those people making that loud noise becomes a poster child, then the noise is irrelevant. The joyful noise is irrelevant if one person in that group acts in a lewd or lascivious way. And you know what those words mean without me having to tell you, really. You know what they are. You don't want to go out there and be an idiot. Come on. Go live your lives where you are, right where you are. Take care of your families. Take care of yourselves. Be good to your neighbors as much as possible. Live by that golden rule, that says, love your neighbor as yourself. So my caveat to that is the opposite axiom to that is if you aren't loving your neighbor, then maybe you need to figure out how to love yourself first. And maybe the gospel of Harvey Milk might come in handy. Or the gospel of Marsha Johnson. They're on my website. Go check them out under the blog section. Let me find them over here. Go right there to the website, www.cassandra-llc.com. Go there, check those things out. You're going to find that they're actually pretty appropriate. There's nothing lewd and lascivious about anything in there, but it is written in the form of a gospel. Yes, it sure is. Oh my gosh. I have so much fun doing all this stuff, but I've also have a very serious thing that must be done, and that is to stand up and make sure that Bondi and them know that if they're going to try to label us as a terrorist, then I want to be on top of the list. I don't like being second to anything. No, me, I like just being right on top of it all. I'm not even going to go down that road with you. Don't even attempt to do it. So be real. Enjoy your life. Have fun. But at the same time, make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's the biggest thing. And I just want to give you a big hug. Everyone out there who might be watching this, big hugs to all of you. These are difficult times. These are challenging times. They really are. And it's not going to get easier. It's not going to get easier for a little while. It's going to take a little bit of time to do this. So in light of that, I'm working on another little project. I want to let you know about. That other little project is that I'm taking some of this stuff that has to do with trans-terrorism and some other things that have to do with some humor and things like that I kind of like to do. And I'm creating a very fictionalized satire piece that is not real in any way that has to do with an Appalachian terrorist, trans terrorist. Okay, so I don't want I don't want to see anyone trying to misplace my words, take them out of context and say, this is what's going on. I am looking at doing this. I haven't proceeded with it very far. I've got the basic idea, concept running around in my head, which there's always all kinds of ideas in my head. Sometimes they come out and sometimes you don't want them to come out. So that's coming. I'm working on it. It's going to be I'm calling it like a fan fiction story. And it's fan fiction or some kind of fictional work that has to do with this, very satirical, and has to do with this trying to institutionalize trans people in this country. It's a serious topic, but I want to approach it from a more comedic side and a satire side because if the serious nature isn't working, we've got to try something else, folks. We've got to go down another path with this. We're not going to win with logic alone. We're not going to overcome all this stuff with numbers and logic and the rational thinking and put all the pie charts out there that you want. It's not going to happen. They're going to take that pie chart and eat you up with it. You're filing lawsuits. Sure, it'll slow things down, but you're wasting your money, really. We've got to win from the bottom up now. We've got to regain the control. We've got to regain control at the grassroots level. We got to start changing this dynamic from right here in the hollers of Eastern Kentucky or somewhere down in Alabama. You got to come out there, and wherever other people may be, and we're out in Utah even. Yeah, there's trans people in Utah. I know some of them. They're right along the Arizona-Utah state line. Good people. Very smart people. So we've got to start doing those things. If we have to create a whole fan fiction series, I'll do it. Yes, I do use AI on those things because I don't have the time for everything. So I use my AI systems, which are the pro versions of these things, not the free versions. And I'll go as far as I can with that and make sure it's all looks good. It all represents what I want it to represent. And then go from there. But these are some ideas running through my head of presenting some kind of fan fiction story. To kind of lighten the load for all of us here, to make life easier, but at the same time, convey messages that are extremely important for people to understand. And maybe people will read these things that aren't in this community or are completely opposed to us, which is highly unlikely they would read it. But at least the stuff's out there and it's entertaining. I want to do something that's entertaining to help us get through this period of time. And it's a challenge. It really is. It's difficult to do. And again, like I say, that's all part of a satirical fan fiction idea I got running through my head on a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of the day in the life of things here lately. Those are true stories, but I can easily imagine turning this into a fictional plot also. Just a story over here on the side that is not real at all, doesn't represent anything in the real world except for the idea that it's portraying that calling some Americans terrorists simply because they're trans is absolutely stupid. It really is just crazy. Anyway, so it's been 30 minutes of me talking and basically just running around and around and around with my little storyboard here. As I told you, I always start on the back of the board, especially when the board has got mostly blank space back there. And then I might make it to here. Y'all have a great day. I've got to run check on everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you this evening at 6, okay? Bye, everybody. Big hugs.